Like Keegan said, my name is Grace Kuhn, and I am the social media strategist for a little documentary called CowCon, the Sustainability Secret. And I'm also the communications manager for the American Wild Horse Preservation Campaign, who I'm going to be referring to throughout this talk as the campaign. A little bit about myself. I've been involved in animal and social justice issues for nearly a decade, and I currently reside on the East Coast in the Richmond, Virginia, with my husband David and the most beautiful dog in the entire universe, Bella, who you'll see throughout this presentation in what I'm calling cute interludes to kind of break up the information overload and also to keep you entertained. So my talk today is on how to create the most effective voice for your cause online. So we're just going to get started. Okay, so today it's impossible to deny the prevalence of social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter in our daily lives. Social media has proven to be one of the most powerful forms of activism in that it's been a huge catalyst for social change. If you work for or run a nonprofit, having a strong online presence is especially important because our causes rely almost entirely on the people who are interested in our issue to become educated and to take action for the greater good. So everyone uses social media here, right? You all probably heard about social media through, or about this conference through your social media channels. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that means CowCon is doing our job because the problem is that social media is in a really bizarre transition right now. Major platforms like Facebook are pushing for pages to boost their posts or pay for advertisements. So traffic, engagement, and reach is on the decline for those nonprofits who don't have the money to pay for those types of advertisements. So for both CowCon and the campaign, we don't have social media marketing budgets. So what I'm going to show you today are tips and tricks that have worked for us to be able to grow, say, the campaign's Facebook page from 40,000 to 575,000, and to help CowCon balloon from 40,000 to 255,000 for free. But before I talk about these how-tos, I want to talk about why social media rules so hard. So one, it helps you to reach a large audience instantly. So there are a lot of people online today, and that community is rapidly growing, but here's a little bit on the numbers. So there are currently 2.3 billion active social media users globally. Social media users have risen by 176 million in just the last year. Internet users have an average of 5.5 social media accounts, which is crazy, and there are 1 million new active mobile users added every single day. All right, it has the power to help you influence legislators. So it's 2016, and your legislators now have a social media presence, which is great for you as a constituent to try and access them to create change. So take, for instance, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. Yeah, people love Cory. So many of you tweeted at him to watch CowCon, and because of that, he did. While Senator Booker was already vegan for health and ethical reasons, watching CowCon gave him vital information on the connection between the meat industry and the environment, which he might not have known before. And Booker sits as a co-chair on the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, so he's going to be making crucial decisions about the environment in the United States, and thanks to all of you, he has the resources to grab from. Oh, well, I went a little ahead of myself, but just recently, another example is my colleague and I traveled to DC for an oversight hearing in the House of Representatives on the Wild Horse and Burro program. And at that meeting, which was stacked with pro-ranching Republicans, they collectively brought up euthanasia or slaughter as a solution to the wild horse issue. After the meeting adjourned, we wrote up a report and we put it to social media. One of the congressmen at that meeting was Representative Gosar of Arizona, and we actually work with a wild horse group in his district working to protect horses there, and they too asked him, they asked their supporters to bombard his Facebook page expressing their outrage on his stance for horse slaughter. Within 1 hour, we had his staffers contacting us, asking if we would put out a letter to convey that he does not support horse slaughter, and asked if we would aid in putting it out to our supporters. So again, those are just two simple ways that government officials can create change via social media. Okay, it helps you to build a community of supporters. So social media can help you to build a compassionate community all across the world. There are, of course, really dark corners of the internet, but social media can also contribute to so much solidarity and strength for social causes. It has the ability to take issues that are affecting your state in your city or your small town and bring it to the attention of people globally. So take, for instance, what happened in Ferguson in 2014. People in a small town of Ferguson, Missouri, took to the streets to rally against the gunning down of a young member of their community. They used the simple hashtag Ferguson to get the word out about the things that they were witnessing, and then people in states nationwide and all across the world were then using that hashtag in support of a small town they might not have heard of before. All right, so here is a cute interlude. This is my dog sleeping with a kitten. All right. So, on to Facebook. Okay, so Facebook is a leader of the social media pack and currently sits at 1.6 billion monthly active users. As of April 2016, the leading age demographic for Facebook were ages 20 to 29, followed by ages 30 to 39. Facebook is the campaign's favorite platform for a lot of different reasons, but one of those is that it's also one of the only platforms that has a prominent older crowd as well. And that's currently our largest demographic. And since Cowspiracy is an easily accessible documentary on Netflix, we reach a very wide age range there as well. And so it's also our #1 platform. So I'm going to be a little heavier on Facebook, but it's because it's kind of our bread and butter, or vegan butter, I should say. Okay, so if you're running on a page for an organization, the very first thing you need to do is get familiar with your online community. When I started running the campaign's Facebook page in late 2014, we had just 40,000 likes, and I wanted to know who those people were so I could find out the best way to reach out to them. So if you don't already know, Facebook offers an insights page, which can give you a lot of information about the people who follow your work and their habits. It's stacked with so much great information and can really help you in trying to come up with a social media content plan. Okay, so after that, you get the gist of who your followers are, but unfortunately, Facebook isn't going to make it easy for you to reach all of them. So is anyone familiar with the Facebook algorithm or how it works? Okay, cool. So Facebook's algorithm dictates how many people see your updates. So it's kind of a mystery to everyone, but what we basically know is that as a user, Facebook collects everything that you've liked, commented, and shared in a week-by-week basis, and then its algorithm ranks them all in what it thinks is the exact order of how likely you are to engage in each post. You're then only shown a very, very small number of what the organizations, news outlets, and businesses that you follow are posting, which is really unfortunate for nonprofits who are trying to get the word out about their causes. But a lot of people don't know that. So Facebook does now offer, though, a See First button, which will let any user choose which of their friends and organizations they want to see at the top of their newsfeed rather than having that decision dictated by an algorithm. And you can just see how to do that here. But a lot of people don't know about this option, so it's essential that you keep your base involved and engaged. The more your engager supporters are on your post, the more likely they're going to continue to see your content. So after this cute interlude, I'm going to show you how to help aid in having your content seen. And this is kisses. All right, so the first on my list is that you should be posting a lot. Okay, so how often is too often to share with your audience? You're always going to be walking a very fine line between being informative and being annoying. We want to connect with our social media followers without pushing them away. So the first thing you need to do, like I said before, is to check your insights. So actually see when your supporters are online, and from there, I want you to choose the times that work best for your page and post no less than 2 times per day, but more if you have the quality content. Some of the larger organizations are posting upwards of 10 times a day, and that's amazing. But unfortunately, for me at least, when you work for a small nonprofit, you're not just the social media coordinator, but you're also the entire IT department, and your hands are everywhere. So it's likely that you're not going to have, or at least in my experience, it's going to be harder for you to create that quality content. So again, what I suggest is at least 2 times a day, but more if you have good content to post. Okay, you should be scheduling your content. Facebook offers a scheduling tool where you can schedule content weeks, even months into advance. My routine every Monday is to try and gather and create as much content as I possibly can, and then schedule into Facebook for the coming days. A tip that I follow, if you'll see, I was going to schedule this post at 8:03, so I don't schedule posts exactly on the hour, because if you're competing with other organizations and friends of people, a lot of people are posting at exactly on the hour, at 8 o'clock, at 11 o'clock. So I always do it a little bit off so I'm not competing with other posts. Okay, never underestimate the power of cute. So a few years ago, I was at the Animal Rights Conference, and I sat in on Ari Solomon of Mercy for Animals' talk about social media. And in that talk, he said, never underestimate the power of a piglet in pajamas. And what he meant by that is people love to look at, comment on, and share things that they find pleasing. So I know that causes around like animal suffering and environmental devastation are pretty heavy topics, but in order to keep our online community engaged, we have to throw in some joy. So take, for instance, this photo. In the horse world, the piglet in the pajamas becomes the Mustang with a blowing mane. Our supporters legitimately go crazy for it. So on this particular photo, we posted in the evening and received 21,000 likes, 600 comments, and 12,000 shares. It boosted our engagement by a lot, which was great because in the morning we were going to be putting out undercover footage of a gruesome sterilization procedure that the government was planning to perform on mares, and we needed to reach as much of our base as possible. And thanks to this one photo, we were able to do just that. All right, you should be posting relevant news to your cause. So how many of you are familiar with Google Alerts? Cool. And do any of you use Google Alerts in social media or to help aid in social media? Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, a great and easy way to ensure that you always have content is to post relevant news to your cause. Setting up a Google alert to notify you when your issue is in the news is a great way to stay ahead of the game and up to date. So for instance, for Cowspiracy, some of the Google alerts I have set up to be notified about is when beef and the environment are in the news, animal agriculture is in the news, and simply Cowspiracy, so I know if we're mentioned by a publication. For those of you who do not know how to do this, here's just a very quick explanation. Say you want to get alerted when wild horses are in the news. You would just go to google.com, hit the news tab, search for wild horses, go all the way down to the bottom, select create alert, and then they can email you upwards of like 3 times a day, but I opt for just one. You should be creating shareable graphics. So for Cowspiracy, informational graphics are king. People feel inspired by the film and want to help get the information out there. Graphics are a fantastic way to share a snippet of information, a quote, or a saying in an easily shareable way. You do not have to be a graphic designer to do this. I have no experience whatsoever. But while I recommend getting familiar with Photoshop or Illustrator if that's possible for you, there are so many apps that can help you to easily create these right on your phone. So some of the apps that I use include WordSwag, Canva, Pixlr, and Font Candy. And with graphics, if you notice on Cowspiracy, we use a lot of images with text over them. So it's important if you are using images that aren't your own that you are free for you to use them. So PicJumbo.com and Unsplash.com offer stunning free photos that are free for you to use, and you can just search for them on the website itself. You need to be creating short videos. So if your newsfeed is anything like mine, you'll notice it's filled with 15 to 30-second videos for stories, recipes, and information. And you should really jump on this if it's possible for you as soon as possible. Just like with graphics, you don't have to be a pro or have a fancy program to do this. I legitimately created AWHPC, or the campaign's 2015 fundraising video just from an app on my phone. So an example of a page that creates great videos is the Dodo. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. They're killing it. They just put out these cutesy videos and they get shared like crazy. Okay, never post an ugly link. So if your newsfeed is anything like mine, you're going to see a lonely link like this. This is actually my husband. He made me blur out his name, but he posts ranty posts without a picture, and no one ever clicks on them. And why is that? I think it's because they're boring and it didn't grab their friend's attention in the second it took to scroll past. So he's gonna hate me when he sees this. Okay, so here is another example of a boring link. It's got a pretty shocking title, which is great, but it lacks a subtitle and a visual. So all I did here was I uploaded a photo that would give a good visual to the title and added a subtitle, which is just the first sentence of the article. Something you can do is also, which I didn't include here, but it's also that you can change the title, or change the way the article shares by changing the title. So, like for instance, I could have changed this to report cattle grazing is destroying the Peruvian Amazon, and that might have been catchier to put out to our supporters. You should be keeping your posts short. So there have been a lot of studies over the recent years, and they've confirmed that shorter posts do much better on Facebook. So one study found that posts with 80 characters or fewer received 66% higher engagement. So that's like really short. Another much larger study looked at nearly 120 billion Facebook impressions and found overwhelmingly that performance tailed off as posts grew longer. So this particular data found significant advantages when posting question posts between 100 to 119 characters. So again, these are really short. It's shorter than the 140 characters that Twitter allows you. Okay, you should be getting your supporters involved on posts. So asking a simple question to your supporters is an easy way to help build up engagement on a post. So asking, for instance, would you try this plant-based burger when posting about a new product? Or do you have a friend who's like this on a meme of something relatable? So the more people who comment on your post, the more likely the higher your engagement will be. This is something that people don't talk about often, but using organic language. So Facebook puts posts lower in your newsfeed or eliminates them entirely when you use directing language such as click here or share this. There are workarounds to this by using more organic language like spread the word, use your voice when talking about sharing, or saying something like check this when you want someone to click here. Facebook is also penalizing for clickbait posts, which actually used to be really popular up until they changed the way that their algorithm works. So an example of a clickbait post would be, you'll never guess what happened when this dog met a kitten. So don't do that either. And speaking of dogs, we have a cute interlude. Most of these are just her sleeping, so. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Instagram. So Instagram launched in 2010 and it exploded to about 500 million monthly active users. People are sharing over 80 million photos and videos every single day. I prefer Instagram over all of the other platforms just because it's entirely visual and I love to post photos of my dog. So, but one of the reasons I like it is because it cuts out the clutter like you sometimes can get with Facebook, and you're just able to see what you want to see. Okay, so with Instagram, what I'm going to say first is that you need to be researching hashtags. So nowhere really on social media are hashtags as important as on Instagram. The right hashtag can expose your image to a large and very targeted audience. So I see a lot of people who will hashtag everything in their photos. So hashtag lamp and hashtag smiling, hashtag couch, but that's like really not an effective use of a hashtag. You want your post to get noticed, you have to dig a little deeper. So for instance, is there a well-known curated or a well-known account that has a lot of followers who will repost relevant information or relevant photos using the use of their curated hashtag? If so, you should definitely be using that. You need to be using hashtags that have a large following and do some research on the best hashtags that are available for your cause. Okay, don't post bad photos. Just don't do it. Instagram is entirely made up of visual storytelling. So outside of memes, you just really can't be posting bad photos. Like I mentioned before, you have access to sites like picjumbo.com or unsplash.com if you need pretty photos that you don't have access to yourself. And you can, if you want to make graphics, that's great for that. And there are also so many photo editing apps that will help, focus a blurry photo or change bad lighting to good. So, they're at your disposal, so you really should be using them. Some of the apps that I use are A Color Story, Visco, and the Adobe Shop series like Express, Mix, Fix, and Retouch. There's actually kind of a science to posting Instagram photos as well. So studies have found that filtered photos are 21% more likely to be viewed than unfiltered photos, and 45% more likely to be commented on than unfiltered ones. And just like with Facebook, there's a formula that can kind of be followed. So according to Curate, which is a leading visual analytics and social media platform, after analyzing 8 million tweets, they found that images with high lightness received 24% more likes than dark images. They found that images with a high amount of background space received 29% more likes than those without. It even got so specific as images with blue as a dominant color generated 24% more than images that are predominantly red, and images with low saturation generate 18% more likes than those with vibrant colors. So that's pretty crazy. So just be aware of the things that you're posting on Instagram and put a little bit of thought into it. You should be sharing user-generated content. So take the best of the best content that's relevant to your cause and feature it on your own Instagram while giving credit to the original creator. You can easily do this through apps like Regram. That's just one I use, but there's a bunch of them out there. Chances are that if you're regramming someone's photo, they're gonna also probably give you a shout out or at least a follow, and then that's at least one person who's gonna be coming into your page. You should be cross-promoting, so make sure your existing supporters know that you're on Instagram through cross-promotion. Instagram's platform makes it really easy for you to share your images to other outlets, which is a great tactic just to give you some more exposure. Okay, so this one's kind of dumb, but use emojis. Instagram recently reported that nearly 50% of all captions and comments have at least one emoji in it. So you should definitely just be using them. It keeps you relevant and it keeps you young. People really like it. I like it. Do more videos. So just like with Facebook, you should definitely be creating those 15 to 60 second videos or just cross-promoting from Facebook. They're sleeping again. And I legitimately did not set this up. This kitten loves my dog. Okay, so we are now on to Twitter. So Twitter is a whole nother beast. It's the only place where it's acceptable to spell people, PPL, and use the number 4 as a preposition, nowhere else. So Twitter is extremely fast-paced, and tweets have a very short life cycle of around 18 minutes. So meaning that means that your post is not likely to be noticed outside of those 18 minutes. And that's because there's a rapid amount of tweets all the time. So your post loses power shortly after it goes out into the world. So it's actually kind of sad, like a dying star. Okay, so, sorry. I read that and I was like, God, that's sad. Okay, so how do you get noticed for those glorious 18 minutes? Well, here are a few things to consider. So remember how I briefly explained Facebook's algorithm? Well, so Twitter has one too. And when you open Twitter, the very first tweets that you see at the top of your timeline won't necessarily be the most recent ones, but rather Twitter's algorithm dictated what it thinks you're going to want to see, and then the other tweets after that trickle down. So just like Facebook, it's important to keep your tweets visually pleasing and engaging. So like I said before, a great and easy way to do this is to cross-promote your Facebook to your Twitter, and a lot of the same rules apply. So you need to be uploading a photo to a linked tweet, you need to share short videos, you need to share graphics, and you need to keep it short and coherent. Also with Twitter, it's important to know when to post. So according to a study by Buffer, which is another social media analytics firm, they analyzed 4.8 million tweets, and they found that times to tweeting in the early morning hours received the most clicks on average. Tweeting late at night or early in the evening received the most favorites and retweets on average. And they found that noon to 1 p.m. was the most popular time to tweet and had the highest volume of tweets. While a lot of people think that might be a good time to post on Twitter, it actually makes it a lot harder for your tweet to stand out in someone's timeline. So you might try tweeting in the early morning hours or late in the evening. Or the best practice is to do some example tweets and find out when your base is the most engaged. All right, so according to Track Social, another social media analytics firm, you need to be tweeting 3 to 5 times per day. That's the magic number, but ideally you should also be posting in real time. Nope. Let's try it again. All right. So tweeting 3 to 5 times per day is a magic number for optimal posting, and after that, engagement kind of trickles off. This does not include, though, response tweets to fans. So you could do that all day long, and that's not going to affect your engagement at all. The next is that you should schedule your tweets. So just like with Facebook, you can schedule your tweets in advance, which is great. But ideally, you should always be posting in real time since Twitter is constantly in motion. But this is just a great way to ensure that you always have content. To schedule tweets, I suggest using Hootsuite or TweetDeck. These are the ones that I use, but there are a lot of other ones out there that might work better for you. All right, so that's it for Twitter. I just want to talk about other important stuff. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I encourage you to post relevant news to your cause. That can easily come from news outlets, but what's even better is to use your own voice when talking about relevant news. So blogging is a fantastic way to become an authority in the space that you serve. An easy way to create content is to report on recent news, like from your Google Alerts, and writing about it, say 3 paragraphs, posting it to your website. That way you have content that's coming directly from you, and you have content for your social media plan, all platforms. If you don't have a blogging function on your website or a website at all, you can always create a voice using other pages. So for instance, I'm always submitting posts to One Green Planet and the Dodo. These publications, they do have to approve the post that you submit, but most likely they almost always do. And if you want to, so the good reason about posting on One Green Planet and the Dodo is that I'm not only able to share that content looking like I'm an authority in the issue, but then they also share that content as well. And so I'm reaching a much larger audience and bringing people into my page. Okay, I think that you and then also, I'm getting ahead of myself, free ways to do this where you can start blogging today is HuffingtonPost.com, Medium.com, and BuzzFeed Community. You can start blogging today right through those platforms. Think that you should be looking at what successful organizations are doing and see what's working for them. So like, for instance, how many times a day are they posting? What does their voice sound like? And what does their content look like? We want to be 100% authentic all of the time with our content, but it might be beneficial for you to see what an organization that's similar to yours is doing to help you in coming up with a content plan. Okay, take free webinars. So I think that I've hit this home a lot of times throughout this talk, but one of the most beneficial things for you to do when running a social media page is to always be learning and evolving. So I've learned so much about social media trends and platforms just by taking 15 to 20 minutes out of my day to take a free webinar or read an article. So of course you can do this through YouTube University, but what I suggest is nonprofit Tech for Good, because these are people who actually work in the industry, whereas YouTube, you never know what you're getting. They offer articles and resources as well as free webinars to keep you up to date. So we are at the end of my talk. I talked a little fast, so I apologize about that. And I want to thank you guys for coming. And I just want to encourage you that if you are interested in helping causes online, to really just get started. When I started taking over the campaign's Facebook page, I had never done social media outside of my own social media channels. And we've been able to balloon into this massive following just because I took some time and read about it and educated myself and kept myself up to date. So you can really, really make a difference in getting the word out for whatever cause that you care about. And so here, I'm just going to leave this up here because I talk fast, some resources of things that I said. And that's it.